So what we see is actually a piece of music. It's a musical landscape to our eyes, and what we hear is a musical landscape to our ears. And this also goes hand in hand with expressing, because we are expressing music. And everything is music. It's really fun because here in verse 24, he shares about a certain behavior, which is not the behavior of the way. And I would really like to compare it to the behavior that he shares about in verse 22, which is the behavior of the sage. I thought it would be quite fun to do that distinguishment. So let's get 24 here. If you stand on tiptoe, you cannot stand firmly. If you take long steps, you cannot walk far. Showing off does not reveal enlightenment. Boasting will not produce accomplishment. He who is self-righteous is not respected. He who brags will not endure. All these ways of acting are odious, distasteful. They are superfluous excesses. They are like pain in the stomach, a tumor in the body. When walking the path of the Tao, this is the very stuff that must be uprooted, thrown out, and left behind. Now, this is some good stuff, because it talks about the behavior, which is not the behavior of the sage, which is not the behavior of the way. And first, I really want to share about some of the reflections of Dr. Wayne Dyer, because he actually comes with a poem that is from Hafiz, which he then compares this to, and he says and I love it, imagine if the sun were to love like humans, conditionally, right? So here's the poem. Even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, you owe me. Look what happens with a love like that. It lights the whole sky. Beautiful, beautiful. Look what happens with love like that. It lights the whole sky. Imagine if the sun were to do like humans and love conditionally, right? It would only give light and love to those places where people are praying. Oh, the sun gods. They are praying to me. I'm going to give them some light. But they are not praying to me. They don't deserve the light. They are not appreciating me. Then very soon the entire earth will be dark and go cold and die, because we all live from the sunlight. But the sun does not love like that. The sun loves unconditionally, whether we appreciate it or not. And how often do we actually appreciate the sun? How often do we actually appreciate the sun? It rises and goes every single day, unconditionally, dances around the earth throughout our entire lives. It has done so from the day we were born, and it will do so till the day we die. But we were never born and we will never die. So that is not true, Jonathan. Thank you. Now let's compare it to verse 22. So I thought could be really fun. I have it right here. Here we go. Therefore, the sage embraced the one. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. Now that is very different. That's like the yang from the yin, right? Showing off does not reveal enlightenment. If you stand on tiptoe, you cannot stand firmly. If you take long steps, you cannot walk far. So it's like all of this behavior of showing off is not, and this is what I love about it, he's not judging the behavior. He's saying, if you're standing on tiptoes, if you're showing off, you are not standing firmly. So it's a certain behavior that has a certain consequence, and then you will fall. So he's sharing, expressing this behavior has a certain consequence. And I love it, and it will not reveal enlightenment, and all of this behavior has a certain reactivity to it, right? Because the more unfirmly that you stand, the more you have to stand on tiptoe to make sure that everyone sees that how high you are and that you're not on firmly. And the more self-righteous you are, the less respect you get. And the less respect you get, the more self-righteous you have to be. So it has this certain consequence of it that is leading nowhere except from a downfall, except from exhaustion and suffering, really. Now, but what he also says is, when walking the path of the Tao, this is the very stuff that must be uprooted, thrown out, and left behind. So all of this is behavior, and it's nothing but behavior. He's not talking about self-worth. He's not talking about the worth of a human being. He is later in the next verse, so we will take that there. But he's not doing it here. He's saying this is behavior. And this behavior can be uprooted, thrown out, and left behind. It's just behavior. It's just habits. So when we are changing our behavior, we are not changing who we are. We're not changing ourselves. My behavior has nothing to do with my self-worth. My behavior is the way that a certain thing is being expressed. Like if we are the intent and we are not focusing our intent on what we really want, then our intention is shattered all over the place and we cannot find right from wrong. And therefore, my behavior is a consequence of unconsciousness. But that's nothing to do with the worth of a human being, right? I think that was it for this one. I love it. If you stand on tiptoe, you cannot stand firmly. Let's jump ahead to verse 25. There was something formless and perfect before the universe was born. It is serene, empty, solitary, unchanging, infinite, eternally present. It is the mother of the universe. For lack of better name, I call it the Tao. I call it great. Great is boundless. Boundless is eternally flowing. Ever flowing is constantly returning. Therefore, the way is great. Heaven is great. Earth is great. People are great. Thus, to know humanity, understand earth. To know earth, understand heaven. To know heaven, understand the way. To know the way, understand the great within yourself. In Hinduism, they have a certain distinction between perfect and imperfect. I remember I was actually discussing it with a Hindu teacher, and you don't do that as a student. Like, it has to be more respectful because it was like going against my beliefs. And one funny thing is like, I told them that, but I feel that everything is perfect, and they would say, yes, exactly, because you feel it has no value of reality. They talk about there are three realities. The first reality, which is the lowest reality, is the reality of a subject experience. It's how we feel, it's how we think, and it's what we think about. And exactly because it's subjective, it is not worth a lot. Then there is the reality of the physical, of the objective, which is true for everyone, but it's not perfect. And then there's ultimate reality, and ultimate reality is the one, the self, the perfect being. It is that which is perfect. Perfect because it will never change, it was never born, it will never die, and yeah, it will never die. It will never change, and that is a perfect being, a perfect that will never change. Infinite, it's infinite. Everything here is finite, thus everything here is imperfect. Everything here is changing, thus everything here is imperfect. But the Tao is perfect. And every time when I read about the Tao, I got an animal on my nose. Every time I read about the Tao, I get so excited, like I want to know it. But as we discovered in the last episode, you cannot know it, but you can be it. So he also says here, I love this. Therefore the way is great, heaven is great, earth is great, people are great. When the Creator is all loving, all knowing, that means that that which is created, the essence of it is all loving and all knowing. That's the essence of it. Thus, all human beings are all love, we are all perfect. So we are that expression of perfectism. ¿Cómo dice? Perfectism? 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 Perfection. No important. You know what I mean. So we are all of that. Because that is what is created. That is the essence of who we are. And also what we talked about before, like we are perfect. And then we can talk about behavior, which is then, see, that's also the beautiful thing, because everything is the expression of the one, everything is the expression of that which is creating, of the creator, right? And then we are created. And somehow we feel like an individual, which is just an illusion, it's just a dream of separation. But still it's so real, it is still the one, the perfect, expressing this feeling of being an individual and expressing this feeling of suffering. And then there is us, which are then also creating and which is then also expressing. So everything in this way becomes an expression, and everything just is vibration. Everything just is vibration. And when the light, which is vibration, touches our eyes, then in the mind we see a picture. When the sound touches the ears, then in the mind we hear sound, we hear music. But there's no difference. It's still just vibration. It's vibration that is touching us. So what we see is actually a piece of music. It's a musical landscape to our eyes, and what we hear is a musical landscape to our ears. And this also goes hand in hand with expressing, because we are expressing music. And everything is music. We are expressing feelings. What are feelings? What are emotions? Energy in motion, emotion. So it's again vibrations, again an expression. So everything is just expressing itself. And here we are studying, expressing our interest for that which is expressing. So now that which is expressing itself is now this gets too confusing. This is like expression. So that which is expressing itself, it's expressing that expression while sharing it with others who's expressing the same interest of the same expression. All right. I don't think I have anything more with this one. Thus, to know humanity, understand the earth. To know earth, understand heaven. To know heaven, understand the way. To know the way, understand the great within yourself. In the last episode, if you have not watched it, we are actually expressing our reflections upon what is the way. Like, what does it mean to follow the Tao? What does it mean to follow the way? So about this, like, understand, to know the way, understand the great within yourself. That is actually what we're talking about in the last episode. So if you have not seen it, it's good to go back and see it. Everything is pointing within. Everything is at all times pointing within. Beautiful. And then the rule of thumb, right? From within to without. Always from within to without. It is never from without to within. Never. It's always from within to without. If we want to change something in our lives, what we do most of the time is that we look at the habit. Oh, I have to change my habit. I have to change my doing. But not understanding that the intent becomes the thought becomes the word becomes the action becomes the habit becomes the character, and the character becomes the destiny, right? So we're trying to do outside to within, but we can't, from within to out. And there we go. And also we put so much of our self-worth on the behavior. This was also what we talked about before. We put so much of our self-worth on our behavior, but behavior is just behavior. Behavior is just an expression. It is just an expression of a certain intent. That's all behavior is. So if we change our intent, then our behavior will change. But we as a human being are still the same. When you look back to when you were a child, to when you can remember, it is still the same you that is experiencing life right here, right now. With me in this video, it's the exactly same you. But your thoughts have changed, your beliefs have changed, all of your cells in your body has changed, and your behavior has changed. So you are the same, but you're not behaving the same. 26th verse and the last for today. The heavy is the root of the light. The still is the master of unrest. Realizing this, the successful person is poised and centered. In the midst of all activities, although surrounded by opulence, he is not swayed. Why should the lord of the country flit about like a fool? If you let yourself be blown to and fro, you lose touch with your root. To be restless is to lose one's self-mastery. He said the word self-mastery, and that's what we're here for. We're here for self-mastery. The heavy is the root of the light. Now, just think about this. Just think about this. We have two mottos here at Be Happy. For now, there may come more. Go into the yin and allow them to return to the Tao. Right? Those are the two rules of thumb we have here. What is heavy? The heavy is the root of the light. Now, when we have a heavy feeling inside of us, which is causing us a lot of suffering, what is the way that we resolve this? It is to go into the yin. It is to go deep into the feeling, allow it to be there and allow it to flow, allow it to turn to the Tao, and let it go. What do we find when we let it go? We find that we are shining. We find that that heavy feeling or that suffering came with a certain present, with a certain realization, with a certain new perspective of life. The heavy is the root of the light. When we are suffering a lot, when we are suffering a lot with depression and anxiety, grief, whatever it can be, these are the heavy feelings. Now, when we go deep into these and release them, what happens? We become light. We are shining. And I'm shining right now. Look at my body. The sun is shining on me. Luckily, my head is still protected, so I don't have to stand like this. Realizing this, the success. Oh, the still is the master of unrest. Okay, so the heavy is the root of the light. The still is the master of unrest. Realizing this, a successful person, poised and centered in the midst of all activities. Now, this is both outer activities, but it's also inner activities. When we are suffering, it is noisy inside. But by staying centered at all times, we are keeping our self-mastery. We are allowing and letting it go, understanding that in the roots of all of this, we find light. So all of this is really about, it's really about the self-mastery. To just stay calm and go deep within yourself. If you let yourself be blown to and fro, you lose touch with your root. To be restless is to lose one's self-mastery. So then let's not lose touch with the self-mastery. Then let's just be calm and be centered no matter what life is presenting us. Let's be calm and be centered. I actually today, now all of this, in this time in my life, it is my mom's birthday, the 7th of March, and it's my birthday, the 14th of March, and my mom died 10 years ago. So this is a very big time for me. And when we are not staying centered in ourselves, then what comes to happen is that we are then fighting the current. We are then fighting against the river, which is causing more suffering, denying what we're going through, or really just not allowing to go through it. We also talked about this in the last episode, that which survives is that which bends, like that which is flexible will not be destroyed. Man, you really have to go and check the last episode if you have not watched it already. It's so good. And it's really following up with all of this. And then I noticed, I found myself, I'm fighting the current. I'm fighting the current. Instead, it is to be centered and allow to flow with the energy, to flow with the current, and trust in the Tao that where it will lead you is that which is best for you and for everyone. So it has an enormous amount of faith And also, at that moment when I realized that, I regained my self-mastery. I could really feel that there was such a difference. I was fighting the current, I was fighting what I was going through, not allowing it, just wanting it to be, oh my God, all of the sound here, it's just every day. I was fighting the current, I was really not allowing it to be what it is, but wishing it, wanting it, desiring it to be something else. The second truth of the Buddha, the second noble truth of the Buddha, right? Thirst, that we are thirsty for something else than what we have. That was exactly what I was going through. And then I was sitting down, I was reflecting, and I just realized it. I am fighting the current. I am not allowing, I am resisting. And at that moment, I regained my self-mastery. I sat down, I just started breathing, and I cried, and did all of that stuff that we have to do from time to time. And I was just letting myself drift with the current. Where the Tao was taking me, I was allowing me to be taken, and I was allowing those certain expressions that came forth, and not putting them so much meaning, like not saying like, oh no, I can't think this, or this is not correct to think this. Yeah, not saying like, this is not correct to think, but just allowing it to flow and allowing it to be expressed, really. And it felt so much better afterwards. So there we go. That was the Tao Tuesday of the day. I really hope you enjoyed. I hope you got something out of it. And my prayer for you is, may you smile and may the sun shine on you. Thank you for watching. Have a good day and be happy.